Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. No, I'm just kidding. So, what I wanted to talk about today is something that I've been, you know, just reflecting on for a lot of this year and a lot of my time at seminary. And it was interesting is we have this sense of this because if you're like me, we reflect. You see it in the headlines, right? You see it in the news. The future of something. What is the future of tech? What is the future of our political landscape? And I can't help but think about what is the future of the church? What is the future of spirituality? And that's something that I'm just reflecting on and just talking to other people about because it's interesting of where their thoughts are. And oftentimes they're not, especially in this generation, we're in the same wavelength. Whatever you're thinking about spirituality in this sense that, man, there has to be, what is the future of spirituality? You know, I was talking to a friend just this last week, and you know, I'm in seminary, last 2 semesters of seminary, and it's been a grueling 2.5 or two. I even lost count of where I'm at in seminary, and I was just being careful because it's just like you don't want to say too much of where your thoughts are in the spirituality realm, right, or the future of the church, right? You don't want to offend anybody, so you just kind of. And it was interesting as we were talking. He would allude to or imply, or he finally said it, like there needs to be a change, that this is not sustainable anymore. The way the church is functioning, the way it's the order of service, and the way we concentrate on or emphasize certain things in our churches, it's not sustainable. And it was interesting is because it's just like, wow, that's amazing, because I thought the same way, right? And it's just this intuition of ours that something needs to change, that this is not working anymore, that this is not the way it used to be. It worked at a certain time, a certain culture, but as we can see, even in our political landscape, even in our social economic landscape, things are moving and evolving and advancing at such a high speed that sometimes we can't even keep up anymore, right? And my thought going into this is like, what is the future of the church? But more so, what is the future of spirituality? Right. And even in my experience of being in the church for literally all my life, I'm turning 35 now, and I started going into church, or whatever I can remember of church, is 4 or 5 years old. And from 4 or 5 years old, it was the same exact thing every single Sunday, and nobody seemed to have a problem with it, right? As we go to church on Sunday, and we'll be there for an hour and then go about our life. We just somehow check the box out of our daily rituals, right? But is it really sustainable now? Right? In that moment, maybe yes, because you're in a room together, and but what I'm saying is there needs to be a change, because it's not sustainable. And my years of experience of being in a church and serving and church planning and things like that, even just in the last 3 years, even through the pandemic, it really revealed what the church was about. It revealed the things that we definitely need to cut out. And so what I'm saying is this: I think the future of spirituality and Christianity, or religion in itself, is just, we're going to be in this pursuit of knowing what the Spirit is. In essence, is knowing the pursuit of being alive. this pursuit of being alive, feeling joy, feeling happiness, and feeling like we are actually doing what our intuition is telling us to do, and not letting fear hold us back in that sense. And again, these are just my reflections, right? And it may spark conversation, and that's okay. And these are what I'm just thinking about. It's just this pursuit of being alive. You know, there's this quote I saw, and it says, people say that what we're all seeking is a meaning for life. I don't think that's what we're really seeking. I think that what we're seeking is an experience of being alive. So ask yourself in this moment, in this time, do you feel alive? Do you feel as wonderful this world is, do you feel you are alive? And it goes on to say, so that our life experience on the purely physical plane will have resonances. So it's going back. What we're really seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonances with our own innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. So two things that my thoughts are about what spirituality is, what the future of spirituality is, what I think it is. And it obviously it's different for everybody else, and hopefully we're in the same wavelength. But what I think is this: first is spirituality is we glimpse the awe and wonder of being. We glimpse the awe and wonder of being. And when I say the glimpse of the awe and wonder of being is, are we able to see the wonder and awe in the present, in the now, right here, right now? Are you able to have that sense of wonder and awe? And I did a video a couple weeks ago about seeing even the awe and the wonder in our struggles and in our despair. Are we able to see the awe and wonder of being in that moment of despair? Because I don't want to have this imbalance of just seeing wonder and awe in the sense of happiness and joy. No, because that's not reality of our life. We all go through despair. We all go through setbacks. We all go through just turmoil or hitting rock bottom. But are we able to see wonder and awe, right, of being? And and it says here, living within such a glorious universe animated by a loving God. Are we able to see the oneness in everything that we do? And secondly is this: our seeking of spirit leads us beyond the structures of the most traditional religious spaces and into places that hold more of us. So it's going into even more corporate or more group setting now. So that individually, are we able to see awe and wonder in the now, in the present, or of just being? And secondly is our seeking of spirit leads us beyond the structures of most traditional religious spaces. And going back into the conversation that I had with my friend, in this sense of even the corporate worship, the corporate of being together in a religious setting is changing. And we all have that sense, even in students in seminary or in Bible college, where we're having that sense like this is not sustainable anymore. Even the language is like there needs to be more just being togetherness, being in it together, and not just one person running a show. It's this togetherness that is going to sustain what we call the church, which is calling us beyond the traditional religious spaces, more diversity. Are we willing to be more honest with each other? Because a lot of times when you go into these religious spaces, you can't really be honest. They say you can, there's a space, but when you do, it's just kind of like, ooh, we didn't mean it like that. We didn't mean it to be, real honest. Are we willing to be more honest? Are we willing to actually be more broken? More brokenness into these spaces? Or are we still going to put up this facade, this mask of everything's together once we enter these spaces? More joy, more adventures, and more spaces for people to have questions. More spaces to allow them in their doubts about religiosity, about spirituality. Are we willing to have space for that? Space for doubt, space for questions about faith, and more hope. And I conclude with this, and I hope this is somehow helpful. And again, I reiterate this because whoever's watching this and you come across this, I'm thankful for it. And this is just for me to, again, my outlet of where I'm at, honestly, and in my faith journey, my spirituality journey. And these are just my reflections, and hopefully it helps one person. But it's just my outlet. Like, if I can't get these thoughts out, that's gonna drive me insane, right? It's just kind of like how people like writing. I like writing, but it's not like the full essence of what I'm feeling and the full passion of what I'm feeling. I'm only able to do that if I speak it out, and this is my outlet, and I like doing all these things. But I'll conclude with this. It says, I read this, and it says, let's follow the leading of the Spirit, even if it means losing our own comfort. Let's follow the leading of the Spirit, even if it means we lose the comfort. Are we willing to leave? Are we willing to leave what is now, what is our sense of comfort, right? Meaning, are we willing to lose the comfort of what was? Are we willing to lose the comfort of what was to leave room for the Spirit to what can become? That takes a lot of faith. That takes a lot of tenacity and thick skin to be willing to leave the comfort of what was for what can become. And what I come to find out for myself when I was willing to say, yeah, this is not it anymore. I don't think this is, and we hold on to the traditions, which there's some traditions that are great, but there's some traditions that can be damaging, that can be toxic into someone's life, especially if we're not willing to speak into those toxicities of traditions. Are we willing to leave what was comfortable for what can become? It's scary. Why? Because to be candid, it seems like you're wandering. It seems like you're lost. And there's moments in my life where I do feel that way. Like, why did I do that? It was so comfortable. It just seemed like this was it, but deep down inside of your intuition, and oftentimes it's not just yourself, it's not just me, and you start to talk about your reflections and your thoughts, and you're just like, man, yeah, I feel the same way. What can we do about this? That's following the leading of the Spirit, because oftentimes it speaks through other people. And when you're living the human experience, you will naturally feel lost. You will naturally feel like you are just wandering into this forest and there's really no direction. But what I come to find out is if you embrace the wandering, oftentimes the wandering leads to wondering. And after you go into the stage of wondering, it finally leads to awe. That's the journey of spirituality. I think that's the journey of a sacred life, which is the point.